Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fragrant Bunker. Today we're going to do a top 5 list, the top 5 delicate perfumes. It's a very special, soft topic that has to be approached delicately. So I've also prompted my AI bubbles to generate a delicate background. Isn't this beautiful? Look at this dreamy landscape of these invented plants that could be alien-like, and then a feather just delicately floating around as we talk. And then the colors are also very subdued and soft and relaxing, from lilacs to purples, pinks, all the way into a white and maybe yellow golden breeze. It feels as if we were floating. So let's get to the list and to the reasons why I chose these 5 perfumes. But first, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Push the join button next to the subscription button. Become a member today. Gain access to extra perks. You can also join me on Patreon, superdacob, all spelled together there as well for extra perks. This video is being filmed live in front of a live virtual audience. I live stream several times a week on my main superdacob YouTube channel. Come follow me there, join me there to partake in the chats. Hello to my co-chatters in the sidebar. Also, I want to say everything I say in this video is for entertainment purposes only, not rooted in truths or facts. Everything's alleged and just my opinion. So it is 5 gazillion degrees here. It's very hot. It's in the middle of summer when we're shooting this video. And, you know, while compiling the list of the most delicate perfumes, or the top 5 that I would consider delicate in this moment in time, at least, because you know how opinions change, and my hair also, now that it is almost long to to the floor, it just does not want to do what I want it to do. Delicate is an interesting word. Okay. To understand delicate, we cannot think of comforting. That's a different thing. So when I envision delicate, I envision a form of floating caress, like a feather passing on your skin, not harmful in any way, but without too much of that soothing, comforting character. Delicate doesn't have to be soothing and comforting. That's a different category. Delicate is more about the smell. A smell that does not immediately take you away from what you were doing. It doesn't kick you out of whichever state of mind you were in, but it rather softly, as if almost in the background, even though you might be wearing that perfume, it's as if almost from the background it would caress you just so gently and softly, delicately, and then it would kind of pass away. And again, this does not mean that longevity of the perfumes I'm going to show you are very short-lived. No, delicate can also mean long-lived with longer longevity, but it can also mean short longevity. Both ways, really. And you're going to be surprised. Some of these perfumes are actually quite intense while being super delicate. So let's get on with it. I will be blending in pictures of them because a lot of them have green colors in them, and I'm using a green screen today, so I don't want them to be transparent if I lift the bottles. Let's go on a delicate journey. Number 1. Lulu by Cacharel. In its current formulation, mind you, not the original 80s formulation. This one came out in the second half of the 80s, and it had zest and a bitey character. This is one of the rare examples of a reformulation done masterfully and delicately. Its current iteration is a masterpiece, in my humble opinion. It is powdery, it is soft, it is delicate. There's a tuberose in there. There's that lilac color accord, rather. Audrey says, rare reformulation that works so much better. Wonderful fragrance. Nothing else like it. Audrey, I completely agree. And the color as well, the bottle, everything about the packaging, everything about this is almost like silk, like delicate and smooth, like silk. And the tuberosa cord in this. So when it comes to Lulu, I have a list here of the ingredients that Lulu delivers to us. And that would be a lot of them. Lulu is kind of like following the footsteps of Christian Dior's Poison, also a tuberose plum-based fragrance, even though this one does not have the poison character. This is the delicate version of poison, perhaps. We got plum, iris, violet, lily, anise, Chinese cinnamon wood, jasmine, cassis, mimosa, middle notes, ilang ilang, heliotrope. We love a good heliotrope. Orris root, orange blossom, Tahitian tiar flower. Base notes, incense, vanilla, benzoin, sandalwood, musk. It's a lot. And yet, masterfully composed so that when they all merge together, instead of screeching, screaming, belching, and yelling, they turn into something so delicate and caressing in a way. So it doesn't take you away from whatever you're doing that day when you're wearing this perfume, but it rather just delicately floats with you through the day, elevating your movement in a way, elevating your stature as you're going throughout the day. I love Lulu in its current formulation. Love it, love it, love it. And I also love the colors, the design of the box mixed with the bottle, how different they are, and yet they kind of blend so masterfully together. So that was my number one. Now let's see my number two. Shocking, isn't it? Shalimar. But it has to be the parfum. Extrait, the highest concentration. All the other concentrations of Shalimar are not delicate in any way, shape, or form. But there's something about how the extrait of Shalimar is composed. I remember, and you should go check out my review of the Parfum of Shalimar. I remember when I reviewed it the first time, I broke the seal of the splash bottle. It's a 30 ml splash bottle. And I dabbed it on and I inhaled it. And the first thing I said was like, delicate, so soft and delicate. The way that Guerlain has treated Shalimar in the extrait form is something you will never experience anywhere else. It is just because, and this is the proof that something that has ginormous longevity, this one's going to last you several hours on your skin, many hours, okay? Just because it's the highest concentration of a perfume, just because we're talking about an extrait, just because it's super expensive, doesn't mean it's going to be your shoulder pad powerhouse, knock it out of the ballpark perfume. No. Instead, the extrait of Shalimar is softer than the other concentrations, closer to the skin than the other concentrations, simmers ever so delicately off the skin, bounces just a smidge off the skin, stays very close to the skin, and it is so delicate and so masterfully and thinly woven. The whole texture and textile of this perfume, it's like the finest silk or Egyptian cotton, or maybe even some other material that I don't know of that can be even thinner and more delicate than silk. In the extrait slash parfum concentration of Shalimar, you do get a masterful concept of delicate love. Now you can look into the history of Shalimar, what it represents, why Guerlain in the 20s created this perfume, what it's inspired by. I have a full review of Shalimar Parfum, so you can go check that out where I explain all these details. And you realize how wonderful actually the concept of a fragrance like this is in terms of something so opulent, and a term that we do not use anymore in perfumery because it is not only obsolete but politically incorrect, the term Oriental, inspired also by Shalimar and the gardens. And also, by the way, this little stopper here with it's kind of representing the waters in the gardens of the little artificial ponds and um, water elements set in the garden, splashing water out of them. That's kind of the representation of this. So it's kind of like something falling into the water and boop, water coming out and creating this delicate kind of these waves of water as you drop a pebble into the water. This is partially also what these ridges represent, those waves that are kind of separating, slowly drifting apart from the epicenter of where the pebble was dropped. So delicate, these waves. They're just effortlessly floating in a bigger area, you know, not really leaving a mark because those waves, once they've passed, they're gone, but the memory remains. And this is something where Shalimar is very powerful. Uh, it leaves an indelible mark on your memory, even though in its parfum concentration, it is ever so delicate and smooth. Masterpiece of a perfume. And then, of course, in the dry down, we get the famous Guerlain Guerlinade, which is a particular form of vanilla utilization and fragrance that Guerlain developed, and it just is even more masterfully done in the extrait concentration. There's also jasmine in here. We also had jasmine in Lulu. Jasmine is an accord and a flower that we see in 99% of perfumes, really, almost. But it does play a very interesting role in my selection of top 5 delicate perfumes because jasmine can be utilized in a very indolic, aggressive way, as we've seen in Joy by Jean Patou. But it can also be utilized in such a soft, delicate way, depending which accord you're utilizing. We have a regular jasmine in here. We got bergamot, floral notes, iris, rose, jasmine, vanilla, tonka bean, and a lot of more ingredients that, of course, Guerlain doesn't want to disclose. Such a beauty. Let's touch base on number 3. What a masterpiece, even though very misunderstood and unfortunately discontinued. Alexander McQueen's McQueen, the first fragrance that was released posthumously shortly after Alexander McQueen passed away. All of his perfumes were discontinued. There was a whole transition in production. They're still not available today, but they tried to relaunch Alexander McQueen fragrances as new perfumes, and the distributor behind it is Coty. And Coty is kind of, it's like Unilever, the Baconators. They bring home the bacon, so it's all about money, producing a lot. So shortly after McQueen's Eau de Parfum and Parfum were released, they also released in the same bottles to save money. They released a whole series of fragrances based on different accords like osmanthus, jasmine, this and that. Forget about those. I'm talking about this one that's unfortunately discontinued, but it is just called McQueen. And I do prefer the Eau de Parfum in this case to the Parfum. Tuberose again. Jasmine again. This one has jasmine sambac, the night blooming jasmine. Also, now, why this one? I do pink pepper, clove, black pepper in the opening. You might think that pepper accord is something that doesn't really go hand in hand with delicate. But again, my list is about those fragrances that excel unexpectedly. I have never smelled a pepper accord, like in this case, together with clove, by the way. So we got pink pepper, clove, and black pepper, and together with aldehydes in the opening, but being so delicate, not invasive, not aggressive whatsoever. Instead, it manages to subvert expectations by, you read pink pepper, clove, black pepper, the top notes, you think, oh boy, this thing is going to be peppery, it's going to bite. No. Especially after it's aged a bit, and I've had my bottles for quite some years now, it just becomes softer and more delicate the more it ages. It is wonderful. That pink, delicate pink hue changes color. It turns a little bit darker with time. Middle notes are tuberose, jasmine, sambac, ylang ylang, and then in the base notes we got vetiver. It is a beautiful, delicate, night blooming floral accord. It's a white floral fragrance. And white florals can be delicate, usually, but they can also be acidy and they can also be pungent, depending on who formulates them and how the perfumer decides to go about the perfume. This one was released posthumously, right? It represents an Alexander McQueen era without Alexander McQueen at the helm of his own company. So the poetry behind this one also has to do with memory. And we've spoken about the memory of Shalimar, leaving its parfum concentration, leaving an indelible mark on your memory, even though the fragrance itself is so delicate that it's gone very soon. This one does a similar thing, a little bit in a different way because, like I said, released after McQueen's passing. So it is almost the way it's composed, it smells of a memory of what McQueen was. It's an echo. And that echo for this fragrance happens in the night because we have all of these night blooming florals, like the jasmine sambac, like the tuberose, which loves to bloom early morn or like towards the end of the night, right? And that ilang ilang softens and butters everything up. And the pepper is drenched inside of the ilang ilang. So the pepper never really comes out to bite you, but it is rather floating in that buttery ilang ilang. And it is subdued. Again, very silky, smooth, delicate. I adore this perfume so much in the Eau de Parfum concentration. Such a shame that Coty discontinued it. Rachel in the chat says Shalimar also represents Guerlain's love of his own wife, who used to wear Coty's Emeraude until Guerlain created Shalimar for her to wear instead. He was angry and jealous and took it as a challenge. Allegedly. That was for Shalimar. Moving on to number 4. Now, I was going through my Chanels. You know how much I love my Chanels. And I was thinking, well, it's going to be hard to find a delicate Chanel perfume because Chanels are not delicate. They have a lot of character. They're masterfully blended. The ingredients are exquisite and sublime, and they just make me dream. I adore them. But they're not delicate. They are punchy. They have character. They have zest. Even the ones that don't have strong longevity. Even a perfume like Eau de Cologne from the Les Exclusives range, it's not delicate. I mean, it might have delicate facets to it, but the quintessential DNA of a Chanel perfume is not really to be delicate. Not really. Look at Chanel number 19. It's all about, I am my own person. I don't need you. There's a bit of arrogance and sophistication in Chanel fragrances. It's very rare for them to be delicate. But Paris Riviera, or Paris Riviera, from the Les Eaux range, it's an eau de toilette, but it kind of goes in that Cologne territory for me. This one is delicate. Okay. And if we look at the accords here, we got citruses, a bunch of meadow flowers in the opening notes, orange peel, neroli, here comes the jasmine again, benzoin and sandalwood. The texture of this is so refined. It borderlines to, of course, it's citrusy. We got orange blossom and neroli. Now, neroli is taken from the orange blossom, but you can also take orange blossom extract from the orange blossom. Very fascinating. The concept of neroli actually, if you Google it, it's going to tell you neroli oil is an essential oil produced from the blossom of the bitter orange tree. Its scent is sweet, honeyed, and somewhat metallic with green and spicy facets. Orange blossom is also extracted from the same blossom, and both extracts are extensively used in perfumery. And so neroli has the characteristic of an orange, but at the same time, we also have orange peel in this fragrance. So, and we got the citruses. So it's very easy for a citrusy perfume to go into that zesty, bitey, acidy accord, especially if they're in the top notes. Not this one. And this is why I think we have to thank Olivier Polge for delivering this little masterpiece here. It delivers that thin line between the acidity of the citruses and the balmy smoothness of a sandalwood and benzoin in this case. And of course, neroli and jasmine in the mid notes. Jasmine is our leitmotif throughout all of these perfumes, by the way. But the sandalwood, the levels of the sandalwood accord, the neroli, the orange peel, and the aldehydes, Olivier really delivered on this one. It never goes in any direction in particular. It stays right in the middle. It's almost like all of these accords, each one of them contributes on its own, from its own self to the core of this fragrance. But once they've given their contribution, the fragrance itself turns into its own creation. And that balance between those accords, without ever any one of them taking over too much, so elegant and delicate. That's where this one excels in delicacy, because it balances so masterfully those extremes that might not go very well together. And yet Olivier delivers to balance them out. In fact, I can tell you this, because I didn't have a photo of it, so this is the perfume, but I wanted to also show you here the shower gel that I adore, and I'm using it every time I shower, even in its shower gel or bath gel, or even also for the hair. In case you're wondering what the cheveux means, it's for the hair. And the corpse is corps, body and hair. I mean, you guys, even just the shower gel of this little beauty here, it has this little turn nozzle, how it navigates that thin line between sandalwood, citruses, benzoin, neroli, jasmine, and it just floats and it takes you there. Oh my gosh. Every time I shower with this, and I've showered before I've shot this video with this, so I kind of still have it on my skin emanating on its own. It helps you set your mind, just like the accords, the components of this perfume, like I said, all merge together and create this very thin, delicate tapestry. Same happens with my thought process when I'm wearing Paris Riviera. I kind of land into that delicate mindset, not being aggressive, being more prone to listen to what others have to say. That kind of state of mind, which is very delicate because it's so easy in today's society to get just kind of smacked out of your concentration, things you're focusing on, your focus, your state of mind. It's so easy because we're so constantly pushed in so many different directions by advertisements, noise. Everything is so loud around us that it never really, it never allows you to stay in your own moment, right? But those short moments after I've taken my shower and I've, treated myself to this, and then I am in that delicate state of mind, which doesn't last long, but for that short amount of time in which it lasts, I am in heaven. And another example of delicate heaven is our fifth fragrance. Surprise, surprise. Hit it, Bubbles. Let me show you what the fifth one is. Boy, oh boy. Is this a little hidden gem and jewel of a masterpiece? Yop Le Bain, the bath. Yop's bath. I think this is an 80s or 90s creation. You can check out my review, by the way, of all of these. I've reviewed each and every one of these fragrances that are on my list today. I've also reviewed Yop Le Bain. This is, if you know the Cabbage Patch Kids from the 80s and you know how delicately scented those dolls were, their skin texture, that powdery, delicate vanilla jasmine accord. And here goes our fifth jasmine today. Yop Le Bain with aldehydes in the opening notes, orange blossom, bergamot and lemon. And then we go into the middle notes with sandalwood, jasmine. Here it goes again. Cedar, rose, lily of the valley. And then in the base notes, we got our tonka bean again, like we had for Shalimar. Vanilla, like we had with Shalimar. Amber, musk, and patchouli. This one, not only does it make you go back in time when you were a kid and your mom or dad, you gave you a bath, and you're all cozied up and snuggly, and you're going to go to bed and you're all relaxed. And there's that smell of soft baby shampoo and baby powder. That's what this is. But it's grown up. This is a time travel machine between you being an infant and enjoying the comforts of life. If your parents, your family, your mother and father loved you and cared for you, of course, if hopefully they have. And then you as a grown-up, and this is where the fragrance gets the grown-up accord. The sandalwood, the cedar, the musk, the patchouli can be very sexy, the amber. So how is this perfume delicate? It's delicate because it balances so effortlessly your childhood memories and your grown-up longings and needs. It's such a thin tapestry there, so easy to tear, so easy to break, because the memory of our youth and of that security, it's such a fragile state of being. But at the same time, to balance that with that necessity and need for grown-up warmth and closeness and physical contact, that can very easily kind of shift into a dirty territory, which is then not anymore connected to your youth. And yet this perfume balances both. So it never goes into that dirty territory, but it allows you to be a grown-up as well in a clean way. And that's what's so delicate about this one. Your past and your present, your past as a child and your present as a grown-up, woven so nicely, tightly together. So it allows you to live the best of your past and to hope for the best of your grown-up future. It is so delicate. And it's beautiful to drift inside of that dreamy world where you are in the past, but also in the present. It's like floating in being in two different states at the same time. I love this one. Le Bain is just a sweet, delicate concoction of a perfume that is so misunderstood. And I often see reviews of this one online saying, oh, it smells like baby powder. I'm like, well, yeah, It does, but it doesn't, because if you really know how to smell between the accords, you will sniff out the adult aspect of this perfume. So kind of constantly like, you know, um, the baby powder, the adult aspect, the kid, the adult, it's like your being of as a human being that has grown up remembers how it was when it was younger and when it was a child. And that's what this perfume is. So delicately woven. Love it. So there you have it, guys. Those would be my top 5 delicate perfumes. Let me know if you have any thoughts down below. If you ever thought about delicate perfumes, which ones would be your favorites? Always interesting to read your opinions and thoughts in the comment section down below, because everybody has a different connection to perfume. So it's so fascinating to me to get to learn more about you guys as you're sharing your perfume stories and journeys with me. So comment sections are always fertile soil for learning a lot of new things and getting to know the human psyche better. Nothing better than a perfume, really, to open up the psyche. That's what I say. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thumb up this video if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, never forget to never give up on delicate love. Bye.